Okay. Last couple of days I've done some pretty quick videos, or not even videos. I've done mostly just taking pictures of things. And I wanted to give you some close-ups of some things. You can see here are the little pillows. They're about the size of my thumbnail, maybe a little smaller. And that's just felt and a little stuffing. And let me see if I can get that. There we go. This is a blanket that I went back and forth on how I wanted to do this, and you can see that the black part of the blanket itself is black felt. I've done a little black stitch work to hold everything down on the little turn down side. The pieces of colored, the squares here, are actually some of the painted paper that I've been making. You can kind of see around like that blue there. Let me see, there you go. Can you see that there's like a little bit of white around some of the holes? That's where the newsprint is kind of coming through on that. And I added a few little white kind of decorative stitches, and this is what it looks like on the back. And one of the reasons why, and where did I put it? Did I put it away? I think I did. Here it is. I did this little test to see if I liked, if there was a possibility of maybe putting a sealant on it, and it turns out I don't like this. I asked some questions about it today, and I'm like, I don't like this because A, it's too glossy, and B, it's made some of the color in the thread bleed on a couple of the colors. Not all of them, but a couple of them. So I'm kind of glad I just used little scraps. I had tiny little scraps of floss. Just pulled them out of my little trash basket and then used those to stitch down. So this one is out. And I don't think I'm actually going to use anything. I think I'm just going to leave it as is. I used some glue to glue them down and then did the stitch work. Because I needed something that was going to stick and stay and be flat. And if I work with felt, there's a dimensionality to it, which I've talked about a lot. Now, this is the little mattress that I made, and I haven't glued it down yet. I haven't glued anything down. It's just two pieces of wool felt, and I stitched them together around the edge, and then I just ran some very pale blue along there. And I am completely aware that no one is really going to see this, but if you know me and you know my work, you know I do stuff that people will never see, and I do that because I need to do it, if that makes any sense. So the little bed that I had that went in my dollhouse, that was the cigar box, had something similar to this. Now I'm going to be gluing this down. This will be glued down, and even glued down on the sides. Sorry, I'm holding my camera so I can only do this, so it's going to be glued down, and then the little pillows are going to be glued on too. And you can see here I've cut out a piece of paper. I'm going to be making some little rugs. I say rugs. And those will be glued down. I'm going to use some of my Faber-Castell. Thank you, patrons. You helped me buy these. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's a fabulous set of polychromos. They're very bright and they're very vibrant, and they don't break as easily as other Faber-Castell. What is it? There's another brand and I can't think of it right now. I could pull it out. Where did I put those? Anywho, they don't break as easy, and I love them and I use them. So thank you very much, patrons, for these. And then in here is, and I haven't glued anything down here either, because you can see there's like this is modeled on a little blanket that's actually it was in shades of red and blue that I had as a kid that I loved. They were very soft. They were cotton, and there was wool on the inside of them. They were very warm. These, you can see I did the same sort of thing. There's the little mattress ticking kind of thing. This needs to be glued in. Then this is going to be glued on top. Then this will be glued. Turn this sideways. And then glued down on the sides. So they'll stay down on the sides. And then the little pillow. Ooh, it's like a tic-tac, doesn't it? Will be glued right here. So there's a little pillow right there. So that's what that will look like. And I'm not going to move these in here. These are the little chairs. I made them some little cushions and some teeny tiny little, if I can reach in here and not drop everything. Some teeny tiny little cushions. These little cushions are modeled on some that my grandmother had that I was just mesmerized with as a kid. I always thought they were so cool. They were like the fancy pillows that you weren't supposed to put your face on. She had like older pillows that were like, she'd made them out of like, and they were in coordinating colors, but they were like made out of washcloths. So she bought like 2 fancy washcloths and sewed them together and then added a little fringe around the outside. And those were the pillows that you used if you were like laying on the couch or something like that. I've also started work. You can see here I've got some little doorknobs. I've got the bottom part glued in. The top part isn't glued in yet. And then the little back door. I used some of the pins that I bought at an antique store in Finland for this because the yellow I thought was very pretty. That's what the kitchen will look like, and you'll notice the inside is a little the inside of the sink is a little different. You can see here I need to go around the edge one more time because that's not very even, and I also need to add in the wire and the little knobs today. Again, thank you patrons, you bought me you bought me some really nice pens, and that's what I used for this because I was looking around, I didn't have any paint, any metallic paint. I'm not a big metallic paint person, but these pens are perfect, so I'm using these instead. So it's kind of getting into the home stretch. I want to work on these, so that means I'm just going to be adding in, pardon me, my nose is a little itchy, I'm going to be adding in, because a lot of the rugs that we had in our house were like those braided rugs that kind of went in ovals or in circles. I'm going to use those. And then we had a lot of, they're kind of the same kind in Finland, the little rag rugs that are back and forth. I'm going to do something with a pattern. And then these will be glued to the floor, completely glued to the floor. These will also be completely glued in place once they are done. So that's kind of where that is, and how I'll be doing all of those things. And I left myself enough places here to glue things in. I just got to get out my wire and poke some holes and do a little bending and find a couple of beads, and then that will be done. I also have, if you can tell, like right there, can you see those little splotches right there? Remember when I was doing the glitter for the leaves? Yeah, those are still waiting and drying. I got some glitter somewhere in my sealant, and every once in a while I'd find a little piece of glitter, and if I wasn't quick enough, I couldn't get it off the piece I was painting. So I went in with some blue paint, dabbed that on the top, so I need to cover that with a little bit more sealant. So that's kind of where I am right now. I want to show you how I glue everything in. So I'm going to stop right now and do a little reset up, and then I'm going to show you how I glue together. I think I'm going to glue this because I know this is finished completely. I'm still not sure. I want to think about this a little bit more, but I'm going to show you how I glue in some of the pieces and how they'll stay. So I'll be back in just a second. Okay, now all I'm going to do in this one is I'm just going to do this top one, because this one in the bottom one's going to be a little fidgety for me. So I want to show you how I do this one on the top, and I'm just using tacky glue to do this. I want to glue in first the little mattress. Now, yeah, for me, I needed to be careful, because if I just set this in, you can see it's a little bit bigger than what the mattress hole, I guess is, I do that on purpose because I don't want to have any gaps around the edges. Like, I don't want any little gaps here. And of course you're saying, but Katie, no one is going to see this. No one's going to see any of this because this is so tiny. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but I know myself and I got to do the stuff the way I want to do it. And I didn't put a ton in there. This doesn't need to like hold down, you know, like through a storm. Now for this, I sometimes use, this is my bone folder. I use this because it's kind of slick, has a little bit of a point to the end of it, and I can pop things into little corners so you can see that fits in very nicely. Okay, actually I should probably do both of these at the same time. But I'm going to do the bottom one a little different. I'm going to put this here. I'm going to take this one and go whoop, turn it over. Because this is just, I can't get this giant thing of glue in there. And like I said, I don't need a ton of glue to hold this in. So that's more than enough glue. And I kind of stayed away from the edges because I don't want to get it on my fingers. And I put it in, and come on, there we go. You can see it. And now I can take my bone folder and just press it in gently. There. And now it fits nice and taut. So you can see there's like no gaps around the outside edges. It goes flush all the way to the sides. Okay, now what I need to do is I need to glue the little tiny blankies on. And again, I think I'm just going to do that here. And it doesn't have to have a ton of glue on it. Okay, very carefully pick it up. And I made these so they fit right on top. And I'm going to be using bone folder again to kind of tuck these in a little bit. Just a little bit on the places that show. Okay. So you can see it kind of pooches up just a little bit, but not a ton. Because remember, this little blanket's going to go over the top like that. So let's do the one that's underneath that. And I'm holding it. There's times I have to figure out where am I going to hold it and where can I hold it securely. Add my little bit of glue. Tacky glue is a wonder. I'm so glad I have tacky glue. And I got something stuck to me there. And then get it in there. Let's see. Again, this is kind of a weird little way to kind of be pushing and finagling these into place. Okay, so I've got the little blankies on. Okay, now it's time for these. Now remember, these are going to go all the way to the end of the bed, and I made them just long enough that they'll kind of, just a tiny bit of them goes over the edge there. So it's going to be glued not only on this part, but it's going to be glued on this part too. So for this one, and there was a big, I hate it when this happens, when you're doing embroidery work and there's like a big old knot there, and I kept telling myself, don't worry, this is all going to get glued down. So for this one, gosh, I seem to be like trying to get my hair embroidered into everything. For this one, I'm going to try to make sure I've got enough. And again, I'm not going all the way to the edges, because if it does go sploot, I don't want it to sploot out. So you can see I'm giving myself like 3 millimeters or so around the edges. And then I hold it out and put it down evenly. And I push it down so it's all the way to the end of the bed. And now I'm gonna press it down just a little bit. You can see, give it a little push from underneath too, because I don't really want to push on this, because it's basically, this is glued together, you know. It's not incredibly well glued together. I mean, I shouldn't say it's not well glued together. It's well glued together. It's just that it's not incredibly strong. So you can see there's a little tiny bit of that glue that kind of spluted out a little bit. And I'm just going to kind of, it'll dry clear. I just don't want a lump. Okay, check the other side. Not too bad. Okay, so there's that one. Okay, and then let's do this one. And that's enough. Okay. There's always a part of me that's like, go. How impatient I am. I'm like, I judge my speed by how impatient I feel. There we go. Let me see. There we go. And this spluted just a little bit, but not bad. I don't like sploots. You know what I'm talking about, when you press something down and the glue goes sploot right out the side. Okay, give that a little press down. Okay, so the blankets are glued down. The pillows are going to take something a little bit more. So with the pillows, because I want them to kind of rest kind of at a bit of an angle, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a nice bead of glue there, and then I'm just going to angle it in and leave it there, if that makes sense. So now they're starting to look like the little bunk beds from my dollhouse. Now this one's going to be a little harder down here because I really can't get in there. So I think I'm going to have to do this. So I do sploot. There's some glue, and then I'm going to turn it and come from the other side. And I put a nice little bead of glue in there. So you can kind of see that little bead of glue in there. Sorry, the light's not fabulous. And then I can take the little pillow and put the little pillow right at a little angle, just like that. And they're done. So now I can set these off to the side. Oop, those are starting. I may have to like sit and hold these for a little bit. And then I can set them aside, and they could be, you know, they're done. They're glued. So yeah, that's gluing down the little teeny tiny blankies. So if you have any questions, let me know.